This is the Reviewing Network Live, a weekly stream of consciousness recording session where I sit back with you folks out there, talk about some of the big news stories from the past week, and some other things I found that might be of amusement to you out there. I think you might get a kick out of it. Now, these are more like audio podcasts and are much longer than my usual videos and are also, for the most part, unedited and will contain some foul language. So, if you're easily offended by that, I advise you to maybe step back a bit, maybe go somewhere else. But hey, if you're up to the challenge, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Thanks. Good evening on this dark and stormy night. Ooh. For the 133rd time, we are live from the Reviewing Network studios. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reviewing Network Live. Coming to you very late in the day, mostly because it's just been storming for the last couple of hours, and I was gonna wait until it kind of died down, but it's gonna be well after 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm recording this right as we get about 10 minutes away from midnight, March 23rd here, but March 22nd, Sunday evening is when I'm recording this first part here. But by the time we're done with our first segment here, it will probably be Monday morning. But yeah, how you guys doing? It's been a couple of weeks since we did our regular format. Of course, last week was all about the Oscars, so we've got 2 full weeks of stories to cover, and a lot of things we got to get to this week. So wasting your time already. So let's just go ahead and get right to what we usually start off with here on this lovely program, and that is, of course, the weekend box office. And it led up to the expectations a lot of people were expecting. The number one movie did what it needed to do, and it could be a very profitable hit for MGM. But we'll get to that in just a little bit here. Let's go ahead and start what we usually start off with at number 5. Number 2 film from last week, and that is Reminders of Him, which dropped down 56%. You can hear the thunder in the background if you're listening to it. That's why I got the fan. It's been warm all day long, by the way. It was like 84 today. It's going to be 39 by tomorrow morning up here. But yeah, it's been uncomfortable, so I'll say that. But anyway, back to Reminders of Him. Dropped 56% from last weekend, $8 million, bringing its 2-week total to $33.1 million. If you account the worldwide numbers, it's up to $54 million. I think this was a relatively small budgeted movie. So Colleen Hoover has one of her best-selling books becoming a top box office hit. I mean, this is our 3rd one, Regretting You, and of course it ends with us, but here's another one right here. Now, let's move on to number 4. This is kind of an intriguing one here, because some people say it's a disappointment, but is it really? Because the first one didn't make a ton of money either, but Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, which is, of course, the sequel to the 2019 movie Ready or Not, which this actually did do a little bit better in terms of weekend numbers compared to the original Ready or Not. Ready or Not brought in $8 million when it first opened up on Wednesday, so if you include Wednesday numbers, it's up to $11 million. This one brought in $9.1 million. Now, the big difference is that this one opened up in 3,000 theaters. The other one opened up in 2,800 theaters. So it didn't have that. So the original didn't have that big 3,000 you could see it everywhere type of opening like this film did. But the good news is the budget on this is only $14 million. So they are going to make their money back on that and then some. I saw this weekend. It was actually a ton of fun. I actually really enjoyed the hell out of it. If you love the first one, you're definitely going to love the sequel. That's for damn sure. But you can listen to more of that in my review. Moving on to number 3, which is a movie that I know nothing about. It's one of those Bollywood movies that kind of come out of nowhere, if it even is a Bollywood movie. It's called Dhandhar, The Revenge. Jaskrat Singh Rangi descends deeper into his alias as Hamaz Ali Mazara, rising through Karachi's criminal bureaucracy to claim the feared title Shir Balak, while balancing loyalty, betrayal, and survival in a ruthless underworld. I know absolutely nothing about this movie, but hey, it's got a built-in audience. It brought in $9.5 million domestically, if you include worldwide numbers. Actually, it opened up on a Wednesday, because if you include Wednesday's numbers, it's up to $13.5 million. So, for a movie that I know nothing about, hey, it did very well, so congratulations. I'm probably never going to see these movies, but hey, good on you. Which brings us to number 2, the number 2 movie this week, and that is Disney and Pixar's Hoppers, which finally dropped down after being number 1 the last 2 weeks, bringing in $18 million this weekend, dropping 37% from the previous weekend. $120.3 million domestically. If you include worldwide numbers, it's up to $242.5 million. We'll probably hit $400 million worldwide by the time the run is over. Pixar needed this badly. I mean, this was a big hit. This was a movie they needed to get out there, an original film nonetheless, to become the big hit that it was. And it's now officially the #1 movie of the year so far in terms of the box office. And I just had a lightning strike going on behind here, so you might be hearing thunder in a couple of seconds here, but anyway, Hopper's doing very well, and like I said, Disney and Pixar definitely needed this. They really did need a hit, an original hit, and it looks like they got their hit right here, so. Which brings us to the #1 movie of the week, and that is, of course, Project Hail Mary, the new film from Phil Lord and Chris Miller, starring Ryan Gosling, based off of the Andy Weir book. And to say that this film overperformed expectations is kind of an understatement, but hey, it's going to need every bit it can, because it's a film that costs between $200 and $240 million to make. They're already on their way with $80.6 million this weekend for a debut here in the States. If you include the worldwide numbers, it's $140.9 million. So yeah, they're doing great on this, and this thing should have legs going forward, because it is it's the best movie I've seen so far this year. I know the year's very young, but it's a movie that we're going to be talking about probably for Oscar consideration next year. It's probably going to be a Best Picture nominee, and yeah, it's a great movie. It's a really fantastic film. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it. It's a terrific film, and like I said, MGM desperately needed a hit, man, because the last 2 films they put out, the Melania movie didn't do well. Crime 101 is just gone from the top 10, even though that film did very well critically. But yeah, it's gone. So yeah, they desperately needed a hit, and they're gonna get it right here. I think this actually might be, if I remember correctly, the second best opening for a non-franchise property, from what I read, because I think it's just behind Oppenheimer, which opened up to $82.4 million, and I think it's the highest grossing weekend in MGM's history too. So yeah, and next week they don't really have that much competition. The only competition they really have is They Will Kill You, which I don't think is going to do all that well overall. So, and then after that, it's all about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. So, yeah, it's going to be a good week for them next weekend for certain. So anyway, we got through the top 5, and it's still before midnight here. So let's go ahead and move on to a lot of the stories we're covering this week, because we're covering 2 weeks worth of stories. And let's start off with one of the big stories from a couple weeks ago, from pre-Oscar week. And this was one of the early stories this is one of the big stories from the particular week just before the Oscars, and that was the fact that Family Guy is getting another spinoff. Who are they spinning off? Is it going to be Cleveland again? Is it going to be Joe? Is it going to be Quagmire? No, it's going to be Stewie. And you're probably thinking to yourself, well, how can they do that if Stewie's already one of the main characters on there? Well, let's read the story. This comes from Deadline Hollywood, and it says, proving that one is never too young to headline their own series, Fox and Hulu have given a 2-season order to Stewie, a spin-off of global juggernaut Family Guy, centering on the Griffin's evil genius toddler son. The new animated comedy, which will follow Stewie in preschool and explore time and space travel, comes from Family Guy creator Seth MacFarlane's 20th television animation. It is targeted to premiere on Fox during the 2027-28 season, streaming next day on Hulu and internationally on Disney+. Though technically Disney Plus and Hulu are about to become one, so it's really going to end up on Disney Plus no matter where you go. But Stewie, whose concept art you can see above, which is basically just Stewie standing on his time machine with Rupert, his little time frisbee with Rupert and his backpack, will join Fox's slate of long-running 20th TV animation series, Family Guy and American Dad. Both are from MacFarlane as well as The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers, which all received 4-season renewals in 2025 as part of an unprecedented 4x4 mega deal. The 2-year pickup for Stewie will sync it up with the rest. The deals for all 5 shows are now running through 2029, which is also when Fox's current $1.5 billion streaming pack with 20th TV's Disney sibling Hulu expires. According to the sources, the deal for Stewie is structured differently than the others, with Fox and Hulu sharing the cost, making this a joint commission by the network and the platform. The episode count has not been revealed. I hear it's slightly less than the 15 episodes per season of the Legacy 20th Animation Series. I keep reading this as 20th Anniversary. It's 20th Animation Series are producing under the current Fox deal. McFarlane, who voices Stewie on Family Guy, will do the same on the eponymous spin-off series, which he created with longtime Family Guy writer and producer Kirk Butler. In the offshoot, after getting the boot from his old preschool, Stewie is forced to enroll in a new one that's not exactly the top of the line. It's attended by a handful of kids he doesn't know, and a 75-year-old class turtle with a half-cocked theory on just about every subject. Stewie's miserable, the other kids are miserable, and even the turtle is miserable until Stewie begins rolling out his trusty array of devices and takes them anywhere in space and time, turning every boring day at school into an insane, surreal adventure. It is still the early days, but I hear the spinoff will have its own world with a new school and new characters, and will not impact Stewie on Family Guy, where the elegant toddler with upper-class British accent currently attends Quahog Preschool. As the concept art for Stewie suggests, it will feature references to the Mothership series. For instance, the hyper-intelligent and mischievous little boy is seen holding his favorite teddy bear Rupert and standing on the return pad of the time machine built on Family Guy, which he has used a number of times, most notably to travel back in time and save his beloved dog and companion Brian from being killed by a car. Brian is expected to make appearances on the offshoot. Over the course of the 24-year run of Family Guy, Stewie has evolved and mellowed, with his priority shifting from his sole focus on killing his mom Lois to achieving world domination to his friendship and adventures with Brian, as well as creating more complex scientific inventions, including multiverse traversing devices. And they're just going through some of the other stuff about this, but yeah, this is definitely a very odd spin-off idea. I mean, you know, a spin-off with Stewie, and Stewie usually is one of the best characters on Family Guy, but at the same time, it's kind of like, I mean, it feels kind of odd that they're spinning off another character, unless you're doing something like, maybe it's like a standalone spin-off series where it doesn't take place anywhere within Family Guy in general, kind of like maybe, kind of like with Timon and Pumbaa back in the day, like a show set in its own universe, where Timon and Pumbaa is not just going around in the African jungle, they're going to like different places, they're going to like cities in the United States, that type of a thing, or, you know, just something like that, like something that feels like completely outside of the continuity they've established on Family Guy. So I don't know if they're going to do that per se, but I think the one thing that this might have going for it is if Seth MacFarlane is fully committed to this, because if you watch Family Guy nowadays, it's obvious that the guy is not really that keen into... He's not really doing a whole lot except just doing the voices. He's not writing the scripts or anything. He's not really doing much of the production. He's just writing the scripts because he's got all these other projects he's working on. Take a sip of water there. And on top of that, though, I mean, it could work. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there's so many other things you could do with Family Guy besides a Stewie spinoff in general. But then again, this is kind of the same thing we were asking when they announced the Cleveland show. It's just like, you're going to do a spinoff with Cleveland Brown, but then you realize, well, you do a show with Joe, it's going to be all about, you know, wheelchair jokes. And if you do a show with Quagmire, it's going to be all about pedophile jokes, which, I mean, they made the joke on the Cleveland show about that, where Peter and Quagmire show up at Cleveland's wedding, and Quagmire's just like, oh, they made it for the first season. Now can I get my own show? And Peter's just like, Quagmire, you're a rapist. I mean, that's pretty much what the jokes would be on a show like that. But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it could work. But then again, with how Family Guy has been, it's got to be better than what Family Guy is right now. Because, yeah, they've really been not delivering the best stuff on Family Guy in the last couple of years. I watched the last couple of episodes, and most of them have not been that great overall. So, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'll be curious to check it out when it gets on the air. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next story we got here. So just a few days before K-Pop Demon Hunters took home 2 Oscars on this last Sunday for Best Animated Feature and Best Original Song, the news broke that pretty much what they expected to happen ever since the first one became the big success that it was. Netflix has announced that there's a sequel to K-Pop Demon Hunters now in the works, with the original directors Maggie King and Chris Appelhans returning to direct it, and Sony Pictures Animation producing it. It's part of the first project out of the exclusive multi-year writing and directing deal across animation. According to Netflix Chief Content Officer Bella Bajaria, with K-Pop Demon Hunters, Maggie and Chris didn't just reach audiences, they ignited a global fandom that's crossed languages, generations, and genres. We're incredibly proud to deepen our partnership with them, and together with our partners at Sony Pictures Animation, build this universe in ways that will surprise and delight fans all over the world. The news comes in the wake of Netflix's most-watched movie ever, adding a near $6 million to its $19 million August take from a near $25 million domestic gross. And with over 325 million views, K-Pop Demon Hunters is the most-watched Netflix movie ever. It's also the first Netflix movie to hit #1 at the box office back in late August for a 2-day gross of $19 million. The film swept the Annie Awards last month, going 10 for 10 in its categories to emerge as it already won Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. It has been viewed more than 482 million times, and its soundtrack has been streamed 11 billion times. And I just got watching it just before the Oscars, and yeah, it's definitely worth everything everybody's been saying about it. It's a terrific movie. It's a well-animated film, and even if you're not a big K-pop person, you can still find a lot of things to really appreciate about this movie in general. And yeah, I'm glad to see that they're doing another one of these movies. I really like the first one a lot, so yeah, I could see why everyone was really getting into it. It was great. It was a ton of fun, and I can't wait to see what they do with the sequel. So, very quick on that one, and we can be quick on some of these stories too. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one I got here for you. So we had a sneak preview of the Lantern Show debut online. I didn't get to see that one, but I knew that Aaron Pierre was going to play Green Lantern in that series. But we also have, we also found out that he is going to be appearing in the next Superman movie. In Brightest Day and Blackest Night, Aaron Pierre will face the Man of Steel's might. Pierre, who is already playing Green Lantern hero John Stewart in HBO's upcoming DC series Lanterns, is joining the cast of Man of Tomorrow, James Gunn's sequel to 2025 Superman. Gunn wrote the script and is directing Man of Tomorrow, which is due to begin production this summer in Atlanta. David Cornsweet is back as Superman, and Nicholas Hoult returns as Lex Luthor in a story that sees the two team up to fight the technological alien threat known as Brainiac. German actor Lars Eidinger is playing the latter, one of Superman's classic villains. The movie is due to bring back much of the cast: Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane, Skylar Gisondo as Jimmy Olsen, Sarah Sampio as Eve Tessmacher. Heroes returning include Hawkgirl, played by Isabella Merced, and the Engineer, played by Maria Gabriela de Ferreira. Production is set to begin this April in Atlanta and go into the summer. Pierre as Stewart is part of Gunn's vision of having the DC screen universe, both the DC movies with the DC TV shows, integrated seamlessly as one story universe. Stewart is a Green Lantern, one of the Space Corps patrolling Earth and its sector as part of the Green Lantern Corps, and his appearance makes tonal sense as both Superman and Brainiac are spacefaring characters with alien origins. Pierre is making his debut as the character in Lanterns, DC Studios' first live-action series outing that will debut in August. Pierre caught Hollywood's attention with a commanding turn in Rebel Ridge, Netflix's 2024 thriller directed by Jeremy Saulnier, and last year he did a stint on Apple TV's The Morning Show and did voiceover work in Mufasa the Lion King as well as last month's Goat. So he's a terrific actor, and it's good to see that the DC universe is getting moving in a way where it's doing the same thing that Marvel is doing, but it's not doing what they did before and like doing it in half the time. They're actually taking their time and effort to put this together. And hopefully this continues on. I hope they let them continue doing what they're doing, because so far it's been working. I'm really excited to see what they do with Supergirl coming up, but definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with the Man of Tomorrow. So, moving on to the next story. So after Lee Isaac Chung stepped away from the upcoming Oceans prequel, it's already got Bradley Cooper involved in it as the star, so you figure, why not let him go ahead and try to make this? Sources have confirmed that Bradley Cooper is in the mix to write and direct Warner Brothers' Oceans prequel after Lee Isaac Chung stepped away, aiming to keep the project on track for a shoot before year's end. There's been buzz that Cooper was bound to star, but again, no deal yet for him. This is all premature. No deals have been papered, but all parties involved would like it to happen on the Lucky Chap production. Margot Robbie is already set to star in the prequel. Deadline told you last week that Oscar nominee Chung stepped away. Cooper is a 12-time Oscar nominee, having held and starred in A Star is Born for the Burbank, California line 2018. The pick minted close to $440 million at the global box office. The plot of the new Oceans movie remains under wraps, of course. The most recent passage of script was by Kerry Solomon, based on characters created by George Clayton Johnson and Jack Gordon Russell. Cooper recently directed Is This Thing On, starring Will Arnett as a guy going through divorce who finds solace in stand-up comedy. Of Cooper's 12 Oscar nominees, 4 of them are for Best Picture for A Star is Born, Joker, Nightmare Alley, American Sniper, and Maestro, which he also held and starred in. We've kind of already touched on the Ocean series the previous week before, so Warner Brothers is doing everything they can to try to keep this movie afloat, especially with possibly this merger happening soon. So, will it get made before the merger happens? If Bradley Cooper comes on board, I'd be a little more optimistic about it, because I think Warner Brothers has a lot of faith in Bradley Cooper with what he's been able to do beforehand with A Star is Born, Joker, American Sniper. He really is one of our great actors, so I would not be shocked at all if they did try to get this going here. I think having him as a director makes this movie probably move a little bit quicker than something like the one with Lee Isaac Chung. I just don't trust that guy coming off of Minari, and you put him on a blockbuster Twisters, which is not a good movie, and then you're going to put him on this, which is not a guaranteed successful film here, but I mean, with Bradley Cooper and Margot Robbie, I think it could work. I think it could make a lot of money. I mean, Bradley Cooper kind of is in the same place that George Clooney kind of was when that first movie came out in 2001. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that one as we move along here. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. So needless to say, it has been a very tough week for Buffy fans out there, Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans, because, just yesterday, I think it was just yesterday or the day before, Nicholas Brandon, one of the stars of that show, died. And then, of course, the week before that, you had the story breaking that the Hulu reboot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer was dead. And, I've been looking into this over the last week, and there is definitely a lot more to the story than you could have imagined. I mean, this is going to get this got pretty interesting here, the way this is out here. This is a story that comes from Variety that talks about the inside Chloe Zhao's failed Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot and Sarah Michelle Gellar's shockingly small screen time. And in this, she touches on the person that eventually shut the project down. It was apparently somebody who was working on the show who had never even seen the show. So, let's see. This will load. There we go. The show is called Buffy the Vampire Slayer New Sunnydale, but Buffy Ann Summer is barely in it. Rather than revolving around Sarah Michelle Gellar's Buffy, the shooting drafts for the show's pilot episode, written by sisters Nora and Lilo Zuckerman, are obtained by Variety, including an entirely new set of characters and, crucially, a new Slayer, 16-year-old high schooler named Nova, played by Ryan Kier Armstrong. In the Zuckerman's original draft of the pilot, Buffy appears only in the end in the tag. A close reading of the script directed by Chloe Zhao might give clues to why Hulu passed up on the show, which has caused an ongoing uproar over from the Buffy fanbase, eager to see their favorite characters return to the screen. Zhao, the Oscar-winning director of Nomadland, took on 2021's Eternals to mixed reviews before returning to the art house space with last year's Hamden. Sources tell Variety that her take on Buffy might not have been mainstream enough for Hulu, although that has been disputed by Gellar, who blamed an executive of the streamer for a lack of familiarity with the original material. But back to the pilot. Over the course of the script for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer New Sunnydale, Nova, described as a brainy introvert, discovers that she's the Slayer, and people in Sunnydale do know the mythologies of what Slayers are because of what happened to their town back in Buffy's day. Set during a vampire weekend, a Renaissance fair-like celebration of the town's dubious history, Nova takes down 2 actual vampires after coming into her powers. By the episode's end, the formerly friendless Nova has a new Scooby gang flanking her, to use Buffy's terminology. The script dropped hints as what's to come. Her dad, a photojournalist, is overly protective and has moved them around a lot after Nova was kidnapped as a young child. And all the vampires that Buffy buried in the series' 2003 finale, when the Hellmouth collapsed in on itself, taking Sunnydale down with it, have been awakened. Nova would have had her work cut out for her. Buffy has but one line in the script. After the conclusion of the Sunnydale story, the action moves to a beautiful autumn day in New York City, where a woman in a pantsuit walks into the office building for a multinational insurance company. She looks smart, professional, happy to be one of the many in the field of cubicles, reads the stage directions, and her nameplate says Ann Summers. When one of her colleagues chides her, she's saying she wouldn't want to be late to the morning meeting, Buffy says nope, wouldn't want that. Buffy fans can imagine Gellar's delivery of that line. Buffy happily is an annoying drone in a cubicle, just living a normal person's life, given how conflicted she was about being the chosen one on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and bearing the burdens of, as the show puts it, saving the world a lot. This life choice makes a certain sense, but Buffy's peace wouldn't have lasted for long. Based on her work computer, she's in her morning meeting. Her email inbox starts being flooded with insurance claims from Sunnydale, California. On paper, there's never been more of a slam dunk than Buffy the Vampire Slayer New Sunnydale. Hulu was reviving Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Joss Whedon's iconic creation, which ran from 7 seasons from 1997 to 2003 and is considered one of the greatest TV shows of all time. Somehow the stakeholders figured out how to do it without Whedon, who was considered too toxic to hire after allegations of abuse had sidelined his career. And most significantly of all, Gellar had finally agreed to return as Buffy after being convinced to do it by Oscar-winning director Zhao, who helmed the pilot. With Gellar and Zhao, who professed her love of Buffy and has said she watches regularly, serving as Stewart, it says, what could go wrong? But on Saturday morning, Gellar delivered a shocking update. She posted an Instagram to the project that the project was dead, saying in the video, I am really sad to have to share this, but I wanted you to hear it from me. Unfortunately, Hulu has decided not to move forward with Buffy New Sunnydale. Since then, Gellar has only become blunter, praising Zhao and blaming Hulu. We had an executive on our show who was not only not a fan of the original, but was proud to consistently remind us that he had never seen the entirety of the series and how it wasn't for him, she told People Magazine Monday. That's very hard when you take you're taking a property that is beloved as Buffy, not just to the world, but to me and Chloe. So that tells you the uphill battle that we had been fighting since day one, where your executive is literally proud to tell you that he didn't watch it. Variety has confirmed that the executive Geller blasted is Craig Erwick, the head of Hulu Originals, who, as of his promotion on Monday, also has oversight on 20th Television, which also serves with Searchlight Television at producing the show. So yeah, this is, and a Disney spokesperson did come out supporting Geller, Zal, and Gail Burnham, one of the forces behind the show, so I guess I should say that, but the fact that you have somebody at Hulu who has never watched the original show, and his goal is to produce the show, and not see that there's still a loyal fan base to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just going out there and saying, well, I have never seen it, so that means I have no reason to greenlight the show. It's just like, I mean, how many Buffy the Vampire Slayer just seems like a show that is destined for a reboot in this day and age. I mean, in the past year, Disney has revived Scrubs, Malcolm in the Middle. They're doing the X-Files now. So, yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a show that should have given Hulu the opportunity to say, hey, let's go ahead and put some money into this, and people will probably come and see it. Like, I mean, this whole thing makes no sense whatsoever, and, it's something that I feel like we haven't heard the last of it overall. I think there's definitely going to be a lot of things that are going to come into play here once this is all, once the next couple of months go on here. And I don't think this is the last time we'll hear about this. I think the word of mouth and the people that will demand this series get made, I think it'll eventually come to fruition at some point down the line. But yeah, but just to have somebody come on there and tell you, I've never seen the show, so that means I'm not going to do it. It's just like, I mean, wow, what a douchebag that guy is. And that's a guy who just got promoted nonetheless. So anyway, I wanted to talk about that one. So let's go ahead and move on to a reboot that is supposedly happening, we think. Speaking of Joss Whedon, another one of his projects is getting a revival, we think. Nathan Fillion has revealed at AwesomeCon that an animated Firefly series is in advanced development based on the beloved cult sci-fi franchise, and Deadline has the details. Fillion spoke on a panel at the Washington, D.C. event and a live taping of the Once We Were Spacemen podcast alongside co-stars Alan Tudyk, Gina Torres, Julie Stady, Marina Baccarin, Sean Mayer, and Summer Glau, all of whom are expected to reprise their roles. Adam Baldwin, who played Jane Cobb, will also lend his voice to the project. The animated reboot is being developed through Fillion's production banner Collision 33 in partnership with 20th Television Animation, which controls the underlying rights to the franchise. Married writing producing team Mark Guggenheim and Tara Butters are attached to serve as showrunners, and the script has been completed. Joss Whedon, who created the original series, is not involved in the animated project. During today's panel, Fillion confirmed Whedon had given the series his blessing. The proposed series is set in the timeline between the original 2002 TV run and its 2005 feature film continuation. Serenity expanded the universe while preserving continuity with the established lore. Early concept art had been in development in the collaboration with the Oscar and Emmy Award-winning animation studio Shadow Machine, which can be found below. The fully assembled package is expected to be taken out to buyers shortly. The dedication of Firefly fans has kept this 25-year-old show relevant. Clearly, the return of Firefly is something the fans want. More importantly, it's something they deserve, Fillion told Deadline. Well, we will see. They were hyping this up all week long before making this announcement. And, of course, we're just talking about what happened with Buffy the Vampire Slayer not getting picked up. So, here's hoping that it goes to somewhere else besides Hulu, because I don't think Hulu's head would look at this and go like, this show isn't marketable because I've never watched it before. Like, I could see him doing that, but Firefly was a great show, Serenity was a great movie, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with this. So, not much more to say about that one. So let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Everybody's favorite board game is getting the Hollywood treatment as sources tell Deadline that Amazon MGM Studios, Cheernet Entertainment, and Hasbro are teaming to bring the game of life to the big screen. The project is in development in Amazon MGM. Sean Anders is directing the film from a script by Alan Loeb, which should probably tell you right there that, yeah, this thing will probably not be great. Alan Loeb is the guy, by the way, who gave us such wonderful movies as Wall Street Money Never Sleeps, The Dilemma, Just Go With It. Is that really a guy that you want to get behind for a film like this to be good? I don't think so. But plot details of the film are being kept under wraps. Cypress Warner and Alex Jacobson will oversee the project for Hasbro Entertainment. Originally credited as the checkered Game of Life in 1860, the Game of Life has sold more than 70 million units across 59 countries and 26 languages. Known for its signature spinner and intergenerational charm, the game invites players to chase their dreams as they navigate careers, relationships, and unexpected twists on the road to success. Insiders say truer than Hasbro has been trying for some time to figure out an idea for a Game of Life movie, and following a meeting, Lowe found the angle and quickly set up the package, tapping Anders to direct. Amazon moved fast to board the project, and the film will now become a big priority at the studio as Lowe pens the script. Keep in mind, this is also a company in Hasbro that's been trying to get a Monopoly movie off the ground for decades. So think about that as you're hearing the story here. But Sean Anders has done some stuff that I kind of enjoyed. I liked Spirited. I liked Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg. But they also did Horrible Bosses 2, which was not a great movie. But their filmography's overall kind of mixed. They did Dumb and Dumber 2, We're the Millers, Mr. Popper's Penguins, Hot Tub Time Machine, She's Out of My League. Some good stuff in there, but other stuff, not so much. But yeah, it could make for a good movie, maybe. But I don't know. They've been talking about doing this for a long period of time, so I don't know if it's ever going to get to that point. But they have a lot of projects in the works they've been trying to get a Clue series going, both scripted and non-scripted. They have a My Little Pony live-action movie. There is a Monopoly film and an unscripted adaptation for Netflix in the works. There's a Magic the Gathering show. There's a Power Rangers series being developed for Disney+. They got Trivial Pursuit and Scrabble on the CW. So Hasbro is very busy. Hasbro has been very busy in the last couple of years, so who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's the direction they're going with here, to get these closer into fruition than ever before. So there you go. That's all the stuff on that one. So let's go ahead and move on to some Disney news. So as Josh D'Amaro begins his CEO tenure at Disney, he made a couple of big announcements on Wednesday. This was announced. A couple of dates for 2028 are set, as we've got the news that Lilo and Stitch 2 will open in cinemas on May 26, 2028, the beginning of the long Memorial Day weekend, just like how the last movie did, going on to gross $1.3 billion at the box office, becoming one of the highest grossing films of the year. And then, one of the other big stories is that Incredibles 3 has got a release date for June 16th, 2028 as well. Of course, this was announced a couple of years ago at D23, and, Lilo and Stitch 2, they're getting Chris Sanders to come back and direct the film as well, so that one I'm very excited for. I'm excited to see what they do with The Incredibles 3, with the director of Elemental working on the film now, Peter Zahn. But Disney also announced other release dates later on in the week, and I'll get that for you in just a second here. Where is it? Where is it? Da-dare, 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 da-dare. Where's the story at? I can't find it anywhere. Well, let's try this one. Why not? I hope you enjoyed my little rendition of the Pink Panther there, but so they have put out some other release dates of noteworthiness here. Oh, here's the link on it. I went to the Laughing Place first, and then they have the link to the Deadline article here. But Disney is claiming theatrical date turf for several untitled picks in 2028 and into 2029. No guidance of what future titles will fall on which day for the studio, which updated its calendar Friday. An untitled Marvel title, previously dated on February 18th, 2028, has now moved to July 28th. An untitled Disney movie previously dated for that date has moved to February 18th, 2028. And the studio is calling dibs on November 10th, 2028 for another Disney movie. That November date was being held for an untitled Marvel movie, which is no longer on the schedule, which I'm probably going to assume that it was Blade, since that's been a movie they've been trying to get off the ground for a couple of years now. In 2029, untitled Disney picks are on hold for the following dates: February 16th, March 9th, May 25th, August 3rd, October 5th, and November 9th. Also in 2029, there are two Marvel Studio movies on the calendar, May 4th and July 13th. A Disney animation movie will bow on June 15, 2029, while a Pixar movie is set for November 21st, 2029. So you can kind of figure out some of the indications of where things are going to go. I'm going to assume that the Pixar November 2029 date is probably for Coco 2, since they announced that a year ago, and that seems like a logistical place to put that air, so that can make money during the holiday season. In terms of Marvel projects, anything's up in the air. Black Panther 3 is probably next after the Avengers films. The Shang-Chi sequel, they've been talking about getting that off the ground for a long period of time, so we don't really know too much about these dates yet, but they're just coming up right now, so we'll see. We will see how that pans out. Ghost Rider, possibly. Ryan Gosling's been talking about discussions with Marvel about the Ghost Rider role, so there are definitely a number of possibilities of where that could fill those dates up. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. So there has been a lot of news about the Miami Vice movie supposedly heading to theaters next summer. We already knew that Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan were going to star in it. There was reports this week that, after Michael B. Jordan won the Oscar for the well-deserved Oscar for Best Actor for Sinners, he's reportedly won an $18 million payday for this, which I think he's more than deserved. But one of the stories that broke before this was the news about who might be playing the villain, and this is kind of interesting. Tom Cruise is being eyed to play the villain in a new Miami Vice movie directed by Joseph Kosinski of Top Gun Maverick, potentially starring alongside Austin Butler and Michael B. Jordan. The project, produced by Michael Mann, is expected to start filming in 2026 for a potential 2027 release, with Cruise playing a potential villainous role. This would mark a reunion for Cruise with director Kosinski, who they both worked on Oblivion and Top Gun Maverick together. And this is just unconfirmed rumors right now, and suggests that there's a non-heroic role for Cruise, which it's cool to see him take on a villainous role. The last time he took on a villainous role was, of course, in Collateral, which was probably one of his best performances overall. He was absolutely fantastic in that movie. So if he's going to play the villain in this, I think this is going to be a massive, massive hit if they go ahead and do this with him coming on board for this. I think he would do it, too, because he likes working with Joseph Kosinski. He wants to get that Top Gun sequel coming up, and I think he wants him also to direct the Days of Thunder film, too, if I'm not mistaken. The Days of Thunder sequel's been working on, so I could see this coming together. I think this could be something that could be really, really cool. And, you got Michael B. Jordan coming off of his Oscar win, which, like I said, he more than deserved that win for Sinners. I know there's been a lot of rumblings that, he basically won because, Timothée Chalamet dug his own grave talking about ballet, and that kind of ruined his Oscar chances, which, yeah, he probably did, but at the same time, I think Michael B. Jordan had a better chance of winning. I know I picked Chalamet to win, but that was only because I thought that small Oscar buzz was still there for him, but obviously that was not the case, and it turns out, hey, Michael B. Jordan ended up winning, and it made my Oscar night. Even though I really wish Sinners would have won Best Picture or Best Director, hey, one battle after another one. I enjoyed that movie, so I will more than take it. So anyway, let's go ahead now and move on to a couple of big news stories in the world of entertainment, focusing on the two major broadcast networks, ABC and CBS. Let's start with ABC. And let me just say that, when you have a show like The Bachelor, which has been known for having a toxic environment, even with the original series, and you have a spinoff with The Bachelorette, and you're going to bring somebody from another reality show in the Disney library, and you don't realize that, that she had something major going on just days before the show premiered. Yeah, you didn't think this was going to work out? Cuddle me shocked. But if you don't know what happened, ABC and The Bachelorette, they were getting ready to start a new season tonight, but of course that didn't happen as the show was pulled because the star of the show, Taylor Frankie Paul, who was also on The Secret Life of Mormon Wives, there was a video that came out and surfaced on Thursday where she was involved in a 2023 domestic violence incident between her and her ex-boyfriend, while her 6-year-old child was in the room. And I saw the video, and yeah, it's pretty messed up. It's pretty messed up indeed. So naturally, Disney decided to drop the show, and they replaced it with an American Idol rerun. But this is a story that comes from the Hollywood Reporter, and this is one of the many stories from this whole thing. 'Cause, yeah, this is a big... Josh D'Amaro probably thought, once I get into become the Disney CEO, the controversies are just going to fade away. And then this happens on his second day of work, and then you just hear Bob Iger in the background going, But, yeah, so in ABC keeps season 22 of The Bachelorette on the shelf for good, the network will eat a loss of $30 million or more. The Bachelorette costs about $2 million per episode to produce, which, depending on its episode count, will likely put the season's budget in the $20 to $25 million range. Which I think is funny because a reality show has always been seen as a safe bet because it's so cheap to produce, and yet they cost $2 million an episode on The Bachelorette. Like, you don't think that maybe, just maybe, these reality shows are becoming much more expensive than your scripted shows are? Like, I mean, that would make that makes too much sense overall, but ABC will also take an ad sales hit. Based on industry sources, a 30-second commercial on The Bachelorette costs about $100,000, with a half hour of ads per 2-hour episode that amounts to several $1 million of revenue per show. ABC will, of course, still sell ad against whatever programming fills The Bachelorette spots on Sunday. For this week, it's an American Idol rerun. More than likely, it's probably going to be The Wonderful World of Disney afterwards, but the network will also likely have to pay make goods to advertisers that bought time on the now-scrapped season. So this is just one of the many stories, because there's like several stories on here. You had one of the Bachelorettes from the past, Rachel Lindsay, coming out and saying that this has destroyed the Bachelor franchise forever. It's over. And then you have another story from the Hollywood Reporter saying, it's time to end the Bachelor franchise. And all I can say to that is, we told you so. I told you so. I wrote an article about this many years ago when that first controversy came out on The Bachelor in Paradise, and then it was with The Bachelor itself when the original host left because of some racist comments he put out there, and he was replaced by Jesse Palmer. This is a franchise that is not worth saving with all these controversies, and this was the worst of the worst. Because like I said, I saw that video. You saw the 6-year-old kid in there. Like, it was like, it's scary. It's scary stuff here, and this whole thing, I mean, it just goes to show you why I hate reality TV so much, because we're making heroes out of these people that are monsters. They're clearly monsters. This goes all the way back to the beginnings of reality TV. I mean, our president was a reality TV star, for God's sakes. Like you couldn't figure this out, that this is probably a bad idea overall, but I mean, I don't think they're going to get rid of The Bachelor, because I think they realize it's too big of a franchise for them to get rid of. They should get rid of it, because I think it's doing more bad to romantic relationships by having idiots going on there and acting stupid. I mean, one of the ones I always remember when somebody on the show, a woman, came on as a marine biologist, and she decided to impress the man that she's trying to woo by wearing a blue dolphin costume. And the fact that nobody looked at that and said, this is fucking crazy, this is not normal behavior. They tried to pass this off as normal behavior, and it's just not. It's ridiculous. It's fucked up. It's just bad. It's just bad on so many levels. This whole thing is just a mess in general. But hey, here's the good news, ABC. You're not CBS News, who continually gets its ass handed to it by its boss, Bari Weiss, because what they did this week on CBS was a doozy, and I mean a doozy. So CBS News Radio is shutting down after 100 years in business. CBS News Radio, with origins that trace back to the founding of the network nearly a century ago, will shut down on May 22nd. CBS News Editor-in-Chief Bari Weiss and CBS News President Tom Sabrowski announced the closure of the unit on Friday as the news division undergoes another round of job cuts. In a memo obtained by Deadline, they wrote, "Today we informed our CBS News radio team and approximately 700 affiliate stations that we will end the service on May 22nd, 2026. Unfortunately, this decision means that all positions within the CBS News radio team are being eliminated. We understand how difficult this news is for our staff and their colleagues who have worked side by side with us to cover some of the most significant stories of our time. They said that a shift in radio station programming strategies coupled with challenging economic realities have made it impossible to continue the service." CBS sold its own radio stations to Entercom, now called Odyssey, in 2017, but it continued its news service. With its distinctive bing and jingle at the top of the hour, CBS News Radio has been a decades for a leading source of audio news updates across the country. CBS News Radio also played a role in the creation of broadcast journalism, particularly with Edward R. Murrow's on-the-ground reporting from London during the Blitz in World War II. Weiss and Sabrowski wrote, "For nearly 100 years, CBS News Radio has delivered original reporting to the nation, from Edward R. Murrow's World War II reports in London to today's daily White House updates. Our signature broadcast, World News Roundup, remains the longest-running newscast in the country. CBS News Radio served as the foundation for everything that we have built since 1927. 100 years of business, and it only took these two psychopaths less than a year to just completely destroy what CBS was all about. I mean, what CBS News was all about. I mean, good Lord. As you think it can't get any worse with how CBS News is just completely destroying their company, this right here takes the cake here. I mean, this is just a disaster for CBS News. And the sad part is, nobody's coming to save them, unfortunately. And that's the thing that really sucks about this. Nobody's coming to save them here, because This is what they wanted to do all along. They want to they're changing the news around so it helps people like Donald Trump, and it doesn't help people who want truthful news, real truthful news. They're trying to turn CBS News to Fox News. That's what they're doing. That's literally what they're doing here, and this is just another really bad situation that just continues to get worse and worse and worse, and it's never going away. It's sadly never going away. And if you think that this is how CBS News is going to be treated, imagine what they're going to do once they get CNN. Yeah, don't believe what they say when they're saying, oh, we're not going to touch CNN. Bullshit. Bullshit, my friend. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that one, man. It's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. What a disaster of how the Tiffany Network has gone in the last year. Like, good Lord. So, anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our recommendations, and then we'll get on out of here. So, once again, it's one of those weeks where you have a lot of catalog titles. Some good catalog titles. You got Killers of the Flower Moon making its Blu-ray debut this week through the Criterion Collection. You've got a Looney Tunes set coming out on Warner Archive. Hail Caesar, a very underrated Coen Brothers movie, is coming out on 4K for the first time through Shout Factory. Blackberry, which got a lot of good reviews when it came out in 2023, featuring Dennis from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Glenn Howerton, who was really good in that. Beethoven's coming out on Kino Lorber 4K for the first time ever. So, yeah, I think that's about it. But I think out of all those ones I would recommend, probably Killers of the Flower Moon. One of the best movies of 2023, and after 3 years, it's finally getting a Blu-ray release, a physical media release, finally. So, and with all that said, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this episode of the Reviewing Network Live, and thank you so much for joining me on this. If you like what you saw and want to see more videos like this, hit the like button, subscribe button, and notification button. Check out our previous episode that we did, and also check out our playlist as well. So, I'll see you guys next Sunday for another episode, so thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Until then, we are out.